G'day YouTube. Today I'll be showing you how to add stat bars to your game. So stat bars like your health bar or your stamina bar, but that's not all. In a lot of games you have something like your hunger or whatever this electricity symbol means. Who knows what that could possibly mean. Or your agility, your haste. I think this is more like attribute bars here. But here we've got storage, we've got a cat, got a little kitty cat. So we could add a bar for patting cats, but also we're going to throw back to GTA San Andreas, where we had respect, we had stamina, muscle, fat, and sex appeal. And then probably one of the better examples, My Summer Car, which is for the fans out there would know what I'm talking about. You've got your piss bar, you've got your dirtiness bar, so you have to have a sauna and you have to urinate. And then an example that is less hardcore than My Summer Car, which is, Monbazoo. So in Monbazoo, you have to drink maple syrup and smoke weed to stop your anxiety. So it could be whatever you want, right? So in the game I'm working on, Mr. Lucky's Cursed Casino, we don't know really what to call it yet, but I've got 3, started with 3, and now we've got 5. So for a lot of these games, I mean, juggling the stats is half the game, right? You're always looking for a losing or winning condition, and this makes it quite easy, right? So you're going to want to load up your project, whatever you're working on. I'm going to need to create a player real quick, but before that, we're just going to add in a control here called UI control. So by clicking Control A, or pressing Control A and typing control. And then you basically just want to make it full screen, so take up the entire everything. Actually, let's not do that on the player. Now, let's not do that on the scene. We'll do it on the player. So I'm going to create a character body 3D, and I'm going to skip most of this, but first I'll show you. We're going to call it player. We're going to save it as its own scene. So I've just done this a million times, that's all. So I figured you guys would probably find it boring. Add the collision shape. We're going to add the, the capsule. But on the plus side, I've actually been adding chapters to my videos, so you can skip ahead if you don't want to watch this bit, or you already have like a project in the making or something like that that you want to add it to. Just skip ahead a little bit, right? Because we're going to actually add the controls in as well. What's that, 1.6, about here. And then I'm going to play this just to see if it works. Cool. So that is the wrong camera because we have this one set to current. Just going to flick this one over to camera 3D there, and then we're going to run it. And cool. So we don't have a script on the player or anything, but awesome. That's where we are. So just typed out a bit of a script here, but we're going to need to add a node 3D here and call it head. Yeah. There we go. Awesome. Oh, geez, we're going backwards. That's just because I'm sure this was supposed to be a plus equals and not a negative equals. And we're probably going to make the ground solid as well. So we go use collisions and set it to 1. And then right now we're actually going to rename these layers because we may as well. So world, player, and then we go interactables. Is usually the way I do my first 3. So make sure this is on world, and then a player we're going to need to stick on 2. I got a feeling this still isn't going to work, but we'll see. You stick it on 2 and 1, and yeah, of course we fall through the fucking ground. Okay, I put collision on the wrong box, and that makes sense. Cool. So now that we're here, we're going to make sure that we add all of these things here. So yeah, I'm going to skip to the end of this. That means that putting all of this stuff in the input map is necessary too. Okay, cool, perfect. So let's just assume that your game is completely set up and ready to go. In my example, I've got a jump, and I'm probably going to add a sprint as well, just so we can have like a stamina bar, right? So this is my input map set up, by the way, for anyone who's curious. Just get the sprint in there, cool. So just added a bit of code for sprinting in here as well. Just check to see if you're holding down the sprint key, and then modify the speed, and then apply that speed to the end here. So if we then go and play that, we've got walking at regular speed, and then we've got sprinting. It's actually not that obvious. So if I just change that to 3, it'll be 3 times the speed. So not sprinting and sprinting. And then obviously we can make the jump height, or maybe just being able to jump and sprint be linked to like a stamina, right? All right, so that's the movement setup for now. We're going to move on to the overlay. So in the player, we're going to add a control, and then we're going to call that UI control. And then again, we're going to apply that to the whole screen, the whole viewport, whatever it is. Next, we're going to add in a margin container and do the same thing, make it full viewport. So then you want to go to the theme, override constants, and change all of these to 64. We'll see how that looks for now. Might look shit, who knows. Then you're going to want to add a VBox container and make sure it goes up the top left. Here we go, top left. And then we're going to go to the custom minimum size, make that maybe 250 by, let's say 250 for now as well, just so we got a square, maybe 100, just for now. It's not really going to matter. It's just the minimum size. So next we want to add a progress bar. So as we can see, we're starting to, take shape here. So I'm just hitting Control D to duplicate them, by the way. And then in VBox container, we can change the theme override here, the separation to whatever separation you feel makes sense for your game. I'm just going to do 8. Now I'm going to rename these progress bars. So health bar, stamina bar. What can we have? Maybe we'll make this one hygiene. Yeah, hygiene bar. And so we'll just have like a little shower that you can go run under or something like that. And then the last one, people are going to ask me how to add a piss bar eventually, so we'll just do it now. It's just a piss bar. Right, so all the rest of these, we're going to have to turn off the percentage. I don't want to see that percentage. And then for all of them, just select them all and then change the minimum Y value to whatever you think feels fit, 20. I've just chosen, I kind of like that. I'm going to grab all of them and then change the value to 50 so we know what it looks like when they're at about 50%. And then on each one of these, I'm going to add a label. And I'm just going to type out what they are real quick. So I'll cut to that. Cool, now that we've got these bars set up, we can then do that thing where we can click the take up the entire space as well for each one of these. And then we can change our orientation or our alignment so it lines up with the middle. So now if we run the game, we can see we've got those stats ready to go up the top there. Next, we're going to go back to the code. I'm just going to grab the health bars again and then hold Control and drag them in just so we've got a reference to each one of them. Oh my god, I spelled it wrong. The health bar. Fuck's sake. So we turn it to the health bar. There we go. So what we're going to do now is we actually need to create those variables. So we're going to, how many do we need? We need 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to hold Alt while I type these. Var, we'll go health, doesn't matter, is a float and it equals, I'm going to start at 50. So we type stamina. So we double click on it to get it as well. Hygiene, just like I am. Bam, got it. And piss. So then what we need to do is we need to create a function that's going to take this health amount every like 1 second or even on every process frame or physics process frame, and then change the progress bar color and value to be that. So we're going to create that now. It's going to be called func update bar color. You probably can't see that very well. Just going to get ourselves a little bit of space. We're going to go progress bar. So we'll just call it update bar. Screw it. So progress bar, we're going to call progress bar. Yep. And then we've got the new value, right? Which will be a float. So this is what's going to update the progress bars for us, right? So we're going to have to iterate through the bars and, I don't know, basically get it to call this, right? So part of this is also going to be changing the color when it's low to red and when it's high to, I guess, green, right? And so this has come from a Reddit thread here because it is a pain in the ass to do. So thank you, G Big Stepper. Cool. And now what we can do is we can go to, okay, we don't have a process here, so I'm going to add process. Oh, we should probably do this in physics, actually. So in physics, just so we don't run it more than 60 times a second, might come to bite us in the ass, who knows. So we want to go update all bars, and then we want to create that function, right? So we can just go like this, func, update all bars, we'll avoid it. Cool. So if we go health, cool, health bar, and we've got health. So if we go update bar and then put health bar in there, and then health, we should see it update, right? Cool, so it's gone that interesting piss color, whatever that is. And then we're going to update the rest of the bars as well. So we've got stamina bar with stamina. What was it? Hygiene bar with hygiene. And then piss bar with, you guessed it, piss. There we go. So then if we run that, oh, here we go. Ah, right. So you're going to get an error until you do this to all of your bars, right? So grab all of your bars, and then you want to go to theme overrides, and then in styles, see we've got fill already filled in, so maybe we can grab all of them this way in styles, and then we want to go add fill, new style box flat. And then if we run it, it actually has a style box will actually change the color of, right? That's why that didn't work. So now all we've got to do is make it go up and down, and I'm not super happy with these colors, so maybe we'll address that too. Okay, so I've just been playing around with these values. Now it looks like if we go down to 2, they all turn red. It's with that little bit of code that we copied off of Reddit. At 20, let's say orange. And then what does it look like at 80? Because it looked like, yeah, there we go. So what about at 100? Cool, that looks good. I'm happy with that. So yep, we'll be changing that over to func process. What is that? Func process. Cool, and then update all bars on that. But also we're going to do the degrade stats here. So calculate stats. And then we want to create that function. Probably come to a void as well. Return nothing. So calculate stats is basically going to take the delta, right? So the delta is a float. And if you don't know what a delta is, it's basically the amount of time since the last frame. That's basically all it is. Just so, you know, if your frame rate is moving all over the place, we can figure out, you know, how to keep things, you know, smooth or regular, right? So the easiest way to then do that is we can take all of this, so the health, stamina, hygiene, and the piss, and we can say holding Alt, we can go to the end of these, and then we can say take away delta. So if you were to just take away, like, you know, a regular amount, like, it would just not be good, because if the game started to freeze or lag or whatever, you'd be able to manipulate the amount that the bars go down just by the frames per second itself changing. So this is coming down at a very slow speed. We're going to speed that up to 10 just to see what it looks like. Yep, draining down. Make sure that the colors are updating. And perfect. Awesome. So they're all going to degrade at different rates, and that's something we've got to take into account. So health we don't need to worry about. Stamina we don't need to worry about, but the hygiene and the piss can maybe, let's see, we'll have them degrade at different rates. So you see the hygiene, maybe we don't really need to worry about that so much, so we make that 1, we see what that looks like. And if we wanted to go slower than that, we go 0.5. Cool. Awesome. And now we need a way to make them go up. So we've got ways to make it go down. We've got to find ways to make it go up. All right, and also you're going to see that all of these colors are changing together. And the way that we stop that is we just have to, I think it's because we've grabbed all of these and done them together, but this should just work if I go to here, go to styles, and then this starbox flat and make that local to scene. I think that should fix it up. We'll see. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, so the local to scene didn't work, but if you want to just click on each one of these starbox, make them unique, make unique, spawn kitty cat, go gadget kitty cat, and then make unique on this last one as well. Perfect, and now it should work just fine. Cool, you can already start to see discoloration on the piss bar and not the rest. We'll add another bar for kitty cat attention because it is running low right now. The next thing we've got to do is we've got to clamp that value. So var value float equals clamp the new value, but we need to go from I guess we're going to go -1 to 100, right? Cool, and now it'll never go over 100, but it will go lower than 0 to -1. So then we can check to see if it's lower than 0 instead of lower than 1 to see if we can kill them, right? Kill them, end game, whatever you want to do at when one of them reaches 0, right? And if we wanted to take that a step further, like my summer car, for instance, when you get to 0, you can stay at 0 for a little while. And that's obviously because we're only windowed into a certain amount, but we might check for, let's say, -50 for like a failure condition. And if we want to do that, we can click these allow greater and allow lesser over here. So what that's going to do is it's going to let you go below 0 with the value, because if you've got that set off, it's not going to let you go below that number unless you glitch it out like I just did then. And you can obviously go higher as well. So with my summer car, right, like yeah, instead of like, you know, refreshing to 100, we can refresh to 150, and then it might take, you know, a little bit extra to actually show, you know, and then you give them a little bit of leeway once you get down to 0 by, instead of checking 0, you check for like, say, -20, -50, whatever you want, right? But we're not going to do that, so I'm just going to turn those off and then switch it back to 50. Maybe allow lesser. I might allow lesser on them, because if we get to -1, that's when we're going to check less than -1, right? Sorry, less than 0 instead of less than 1, or 0, right? We could even make it -5 for them clutch moments. So first we'll work out this stamina. So we're going to go to the calculate stats, right? Stamina, okay, so if we're sprinting, stamina goes down, right? Otherwise it goes up. So we're going to go back to the physics process here. We're going to expose this is sprinting, right? So I'm just going to change that to sort of a private version, right? And then we're going to go stick this one up top, because we need to know if he's actually sprinting or if he's holding down the sprint key, right? So here we go. Now the easiest way to check here is just, is sprinting equals true if speed mod is greater than 1.0, right? Else false. Cool, so that's how we're going to expose that, right? And now we've got to work out if we're sprinting here, so we can work out if we're adding or deleting stamina, right? So if is sprinting, stamina negative equals delta times like 20, else plus delta 10. I don't know, let's see what this looks like. So we're running, the stamina goes down because we're holding shift. See, but because we're not sprinting while we're jumping, we're going to get a little bit back, but also our jump should probably be linked to that stamina as well. But as you can see, our stamina goes down to 0, and then we should stop actually sprinting. So we can address that over here. is sprinting if da 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 da, and stamina is greater than like 1, right? So it should stop us from sprinting once we get down to 0. Should do. Cool. See, it's like glitching out a little bit because it's going and then it's stopping and it's going and stopping. So that 1 there, maybe we can change that somehow. Well, stamina greater than 0, I mean, it's probably going to stutter more, but at least we get it to stop, right? Like, there's a million different ways that you could do this, right? We're just sort of showing off the bars for now, so we've got that. See, the sprint isn't even stopping, dude. And that might actually be because we're clamping it down past 0. So maybe I switch that over to 0, and then we'll see what it looks like. It's still going to bug out, I'm sure, because we're on a frame where you see it's going and then stopping and going and stopping and going and stopping, because of the way that it's, yeah, but that's how we can get the bar in. So next one, health bar, yeah, we're going to keep it at 100. So we've got hygiene. All right, so how fast does the hygiene go down? That's what we need to work out here. So it's going down quite slow, so we're going to start it at 50%, just so we can see the effects of what's actually happening. So what we could do is we obviously need to create an area, right? An area where there's like a shower or a sauna or something like that, you know, in the case of my summer car. And when we go and stand in it, we want that hygiene to then go up. So we're going to start with an area, 3D. I'm going to add a collider to it. So collision shape, box. Here we go, check that out. And now I'm going to go and add this to a group. We're actually going to create a group here for this area. I'm going to call it the shower area. So I'm just going to reset the position. I've just moved the position over a little bit too far. We move this whole shower area over to here. Now we need a little mesh up top so I know where this shower is, because we're not going to be able to see that in game. We can add like a little cylinder. That'll do, donkey. Make it 0.1. Just like one of those really big shower heads. There we go. What about the top radius? Yeah, there we go. It kind of looks like a lamp. So load up. Where is it? So over here should be our shower area. Now I'm going to add some particles to it, and I'm going to cut to after that. It's just so we can see it. It's just something pretty to look at, boys. Some just, you know, not everything has to be functional. Some things are just there to look cool, right? There we go. Look at that. We've got beautiful particles, beautiful shower particles. Hit the subscribe button if you want to learn how to make shower particles. I'll show you in the next episode, maybe. But there we go. So we've got a visual representation of where we need to, oh my god, look at the shadow. That was so cool. Where we need to go to fix our hygiene up. Now we've got to actually get it to work. Also, if you've watched the video this far, maybe you want to subscribe. Apparently only 8% of the people watching actually subscribe to my channel. So let's do something about that right now. Also, like the video too. That helps like a lot. So we've got this shower area, and we need to check to see if we are inside that shower area or not. There's a couple of different ways to do it, but we're going to do it the easy way, which is just on the physics process frame. We're going to check. Well, actually, because we're doing it in process, we may as well. Yeah, so we've got is sprinting. We're going to add another one called is in shower, is showering, right? And then that one we're going to check if showering. We have to do it in the physics frame, right? Because it's a physics function, right? We're actually checking to see if two physical bodies are interacting with each other, right? Check if showering. So we're going to avoid that because we're actually just going to directly set the public variable from inside the function. This one's going to be kind of interesting because I'm thinking we actually check that from outside of the player. So we should actually do it from the scene itself, right? So I'm going to create another script for the scene, and then we're going to bring in the shower area, and then we're going to get player, or we're going to var player as player. Okay, so we don't have a class name set up for player, so we're just going to go into the top of the player, set its class name to player, just so we can see all of these thingamabobs. Let's see. Yeah, we're all good. So then on func ready, we can get that player scene. The other way that we can do this is export. So just really quickly, what we could do is player equals, and then we could drag the player in, or we could go get tree first node in group players, and that's only if we've got inside this ready function we can go add to group player. So that's one way that we can get a reference to it. Now the other way that we can get a reference to it is using export variables too. So because we're doing this from the scene, we may as well. So I'm going to change this to export var player, and then what we can do is, and like I said, we'll show you another way to do it as well. So this is with the export variables. So we've got player here, and then what we can do is we can grab the player and then assign that in there. So inside our main scene, we're actually setting that one time. And the benefit of that is that when we move the player around to a different position, we then don't need to update its absolute path like we would if we were dragging the player in like this. So even with shower area, what I can do is I can export that, and we can get rid of that at the end here. And then inside this main scene, I can actually drag the shower area into this slot right here. And that's what the export is good for. So we're going to do it that way, just because if we move these things around, then nothing should get messed up. Cool. So we don't need to get a reference to the player now. We already know where the player is. So then we know what we need to do is we need to get the overlapping bodies, right? But of the shower area, and then we can set the players is showering to true or false based on that. So on the physics process, we're going to shower area dot get overlapping bodies, right? And now it's not going to overlap at the moment because we don't have it actually set up to detect the player yet. So we can turn off that collision layer because we don't actually need it, but we need it to be able to interact with the player. So shower area dot get overlapping bodies, we're going to print that right now. We're going to see what comes up. So because we're about to go into full screen, I'm going to move around, I'm going to walk through there, walk back through it again, and then we're going to pause just because this is probably going to be, oh no, here we go. What's this? Okay, apparently we don't get anything. All right. Okay, we'll try this again. If shower area dot has overlapping bodies, right, we're going to print shower area dot get overlapping bodies, right? And let's just make sure that this script only runs after this point when there's actually something in the shower area, right? So I'm going to walk into it. We're going to see what we get. Cool. So we're getting, yeah, look, we can see it's moving because every frame here, 60 times a second, every physics frame, we've just checked to see if we're inside here or not. So what we're going to do then, stop that, is we need to set the player to be is showering, right? So what we do is we go if player in, or actually I think we should do it this way around. If shower area.bodies has player, right, then print player in shower. And obviously we don't want to keep these print statements in once we export the game, or even playing it. It lags it up quite a bit when you're printing stuff to the console here. So we are getting this here. Just got to make that a little bit higher so you can see it. Player in shower, player in shower. So then what we need to do is, as you can see, the hygiene is still at about a third of the way up. So what we need to do is player.isShowering equals true. So if we flick back, have we set that up yet? I don't know, but either way, he's showering right now. And then we need to work out a way to actually flip it back. So L if shower area does not have overlapping bodies. So this is when there's none. So L if player dot is showering. We need to go player dot is showering equals false. So what that does is, you know, when we're not in there, it's going to flick it back over. So now we're immediately going to go back to the player, and then we're going to make sure that the is showering is actually integrated into the code somehow. So here in the calculate stats, we're going to go if is showering else, and so in the else we're going to do what it's currently at, where it goes down. Otherwise it's going to go up quite dramatically. So let's have a look at that. Obviously, you spend 10 minutes in a shower a day, right? And then you spend the other 23 point whatever hours not in the shower. So obviously, it's going to go up a lot faster than it goes down. As you can see, it is working. Now, if we switch that to 110, right? So we're going to make the hygiene bar go down quite quickly, just so we can try that again. As we walk in, the hygiene goes up. You know, we're getting a lot of these print statements, so we can then go and turn those off, make the game run a little bit quicker. And also, it's like we're not actually changing any of the values unless the values are, you know, what they should be. So I like to do this. Instead of just every single, you know, physics frame, we set the player is showering to false. We don't do that. We only check to see if the player is showering, and then we flick that back over. So that's kind of like a inverter sort of statement. And, you know, it's just going to skip over it otherwise. So cool. We've got that going. And is it being clamped at the moment? That's the other thing that we need to work out. Is it being clamped? Yeah, look, I don't think it's being clamped right now. Got to work out how to clamp that. Yeah, it's not working. It's because of this. Look, we clamp it here to value, but then we don't actually swap this out to the new value. So that's going to clamp it now. It's going to make sure that that stamina as well was going well over 100 too. So we're going to go back to player, the player script. Oh, we were in the player script. We're going to go to that hygiene, and then we're going to make that 1 so it goes down quite slowly. Negative equals. Have we broke the game? Okay, I think I figured it out. We've got to change our value to be... Yeah, we've got to change it. Because it's only clamping the value that gets displayed, right? So we need to do for x in, what is it, health, stamina, hygiene, and piss. We need to go our value equals x, right? Okay, this still isn't going to work. We're just gonna do this, right? I'm just gonna get that health, stamina, hygiene, and pierce. I'm gonna do this equals clamp. Bam! There we go. And now we are clamped. Please. All right, there we go. New value, new value, new value, bang. And then the update bar is here. So the update all bars happens after the calculate stats. Oh, geez. I shouldn't hit my microphone thing, but there we go. All right, we're properly clamped now. So if we go down to 0, and then we come back up, look. Perfect. Under the shower. Awesome. The stamina bar is working. We should also make the jump. Handle the jump. So here we go. And stamina is less than, greater than, we need the jump stamina. So I'm going to create another one called jump stamina. We're going to go stamina, negative equals jump stamina. So at the top where we've got our jump velocity, we're going to export jump stamina. Float equals 10. I'm going to change all of these. I thought they looked weird. You need to have an identifier assigned to them. Cool. So now if we jump, see it's going to go down. Our jump is going to go down. Now if we get to the bottom, we shouldn't be allowed to jump. That's right, because our stamina is too low, so we can't jump. So that's that sorted. And now for the fun part, the piss. So I'm just going to add in some GPU particles, and then I'll probably cut to the end of this process because honestly, like it's not that interesting of a process. We're just adding like a tiny little, well, I should probably go a bit bigger than that. There we go, big piss particles, right? A lot of this should be pretty self-explanatory, especially if you've watched like a GPU particle tutorial before. And I might do my own, but I feel like there's enough particles all over the internet, particle tutorials all over the internet to learn how to do this. I think that might be a little bit too yellow, a little bit too golden of a piss. We need a little bit more hydration. Yeah, probably around there, right? Alright, so like I said, I'm probably going to cut to the end of this. If you are struggling with it and like this shit is happening, you just want to change your direction to what, -1, I think, in the Z. Change the spread to nothing. And then we want to edit the velocity. So 1 and 2. 1 here and 2. So it just comes out kind of slowly, maybe with a little bit more force than that. There we go. And then we're going to change the amount here to 500. So we've got a bit more of a hectic stream. Hold on. Change this to 2.5. Alright, maybe like 100. Yeah, so it comes out a little bit of spread here with a little bit of, I don't know, no spread. I'm going to make the particles a little bit smaller as well. There we go, perfect. And then we just make sure that that's facing the right direction by running the game. And yep, sure it is. And then obviously we need to go and add an extra input map. So we're going to add a piss key. Probably just put it on P for now. Quite simple, right? And then we need to work out is pissing. So all of these need to be false by default, I think. Now, is pissing, how do we work that out? It's when you've got the key held down, right? Well, we should make it when you hit the key. When you hit the key and you're near the bottom. Or when you hit the key and you're past like 80% or something like that, right? So we're going to add func for input. And then we're going to go if event is input event key. Obviously, you're going to change that to whatever it is, whether it's on a joystick or not, or whether you have it as a mouse button. If event is input, yeah, and then if input dot action, right, we've already got an input event, so we're just going to go up to here, and then like I was saying, we've got the input event mouse motion. LF, and it's very, very important to do LF because sometimes if you don't do the LF, you'll get two things in the same input event. It's not good. Not good at all. So just make sure that you're doing that, all right? So we're going to get if input dot, we need to find out if the action is just pressed. Piss, there it is, in yellow. And then we need to find out if it's appropriate to piss or not. And then the other thing we need to do is up the top, we've got to get a reference to that scene, the PP poo poo piss particles over here. Just renamed it. I'm going to drag it over with control. And then on ready, what I want to do is I want to go piss particles dot emitting equals false, just so while we're looking at it, we can get a preview of it, but as soon as the game starts, it will disappear and it won't start emitting. So I'll show you what that looks like. Cannot pass. Okay, hold on. We've got to finish this before we can do that. Pass there. Now when you load up, no piss, right? Now we've got to do the logic on whether we actually can piss or not. So if piss is less than or equal to 80. Then we'll make it is pissing, right? So, and not is pissing. Because this is going to be automatic. Once you start, you can't stop. All right? Once you start, you cannot stop. Just like real life. You know? This wasn't meant to be realistic, but it's become realistic now. Okay, boys? All right. And girls. But as far as ladies go, I can't speak for yous, but all I can say is it hurts to stop midstream, and we're not adding that in this game. Okay, is pissing equals true. Right? And then on the flip side of it, once it gets down to nothing, that's when we're going to set it back to false, right? So is pissing. So is pissing equals true. Because here we need to go piss particles as well. Dot emitting equals true before we move on, right? So now we need to figure out what's happening here. So the calculate stats. If is pissing, then so this is where it's going to get tricky as well, because like it depends which way around you want to do this. Plus equals 10. All right, and then we need to check if piss equals or greater than or equal to 100. We need to is pissing equals false, right? So we do that all in one stride. So we check to see if you're pissing. If you've just reached the top, then we turn it off, right? And then once it's off, it'll start, degrading on the next step, not this one, all right? And now we'll see what that looks like. So we're not going to be able to hit piss until, once we're below 80, right? So cool. Once we set it to false, we can set the piss particles dot emitting to false as well. And we're going to find that 80 where it is piss less than equal to 80, right? So our hygiene is really low. We're going to go do our hygiene up. And like they say, there's two kinds of people in the world. Those that piss in the shower and those that lie about it. So we're going to hit P. We're going to see what happens here. Oh, yep, just can't stop the piss midstream. Boom. And as soon as it gets to the top, it's going to stop. And then if we try and hit P now, it's not going to work because we've set that greater than or equal to 80 or less than or equal to 80. So about there, then we can piss again, right? But it's just going to be a short little stream. So then with the health, health is quite easy. There's like a million tutorials online about how to reduce your health, but it would be the same thing. You could just create something that deletes your health. So I'm just going to add a little action here, add health, and remove, subtract health, sub health. We're just going to set that to the plus and minus key. And then in here, lf input dot is action just pressed add health. And then we're going to do another one for sub health, for subtract health. And then here we're just going to basically do the same thing, just health plus equals 10. And then this one would be negative equals 10. And so the clamping effect should still work because that's happening like every frame. So see here, as I hit negative, it's going to add health and take health away. And this is sort of just driving the point home that you can do anything to get rid of health. Like it can be anything. In the case of like something like hygiene, and we wanted to just go down, that's sort of what we've talked about here. And obviously with the piss, we've got a different version where it's like we start pissing and we can't stop. We've also got stamina, which once you get to the bottom, it should have some sort of effect, and obviously that probably needs a lot more work, but this isn't really a tutorial about movement. It's a tutorial about stat bars, and I think I'm quite satisfied with that. What we can do as well is we can make this window 1280 by 720. And then I don't know about you guys, but what I like to do with the window is if I am making a game like this, like a sort of retro-y sort of game, I'll take it from mode disabled in stretch over to viewport. And then what that does is it makes everything bigger at the same time. So I don't know, it's just easier to show. Easier to show on stream and on screen. And speaking of on stream, come and follow me, Rembot Games. We're doing game dev every other day on Twitch and also on YouTube. So you want to hit the subscribe, come to the Patreon. I'll have this code on the Patreon, like this whole project, if you can't be bothered typing up any of this, or if you want to follow along, or if you just kind of want to steal my piss mechanic out of the game. And another thing we could do is, if the piss gets down to 0, we could just force you to piss. Who knows? But there you go. It's the sort of 4 different types of stamina. I mean, stat bars that you can have, right? Walk into something, make the hygiene go up. Stamina, run around. Oh shit, we fall off the side of the map. That's fine. That does damage. Do damage to us. Cool. And then look, we run around. Get the health. So the reason I do this at the end of the video is because apparently a lot of people click to the end of the video to see what we've done. And like I said, only 8% of you are subscribed. 92 not subscribed. And I read somewhere that apparently just showing that on screen makes people subscribe. So let's hit that subscribe, because I'm trying to get to 1,000, because I just want to hit 1,000 subs. I've got 1,000 subs on another channel, but I don't really use that channel that much. I really like this one, so let's go, boys. Come and join in the Discord. Jump in the Discord. Let's talk game dev. Piss on this thing. I'll show you an even better way of doing piss mechanics, where you can aim your piss in the air. You know, but it's not really the point of this tutorial, so you know how it is. Alright. Thanks for watching, everybody. Tune into the next one. I hope you liked this one. This one was really fun to make. Hopefully it wasn't too boring. Remember to like and subscribe. Or come to the Patreon. Come get these files from the Patreon. Whatever you want to do. I'm not going to judge you. We're going to piss off into the void. And we're going to say goodbye. Goodbye until next time. I still haven't figured out a way to finish these videos, dude.